Good morning, everybody. We are going to get started this morning. So give me 1 second while I get everything up and running this morning. Can you all see my screen? Perfect. All right. Good morning, everybody. And thank you so much for joining us on today's Business First event sponsored by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. I know December is a busy month, so I appreciate you taking the time to be here today. My name is Kelsey McKeag, and I'm part of the Southwest Michigan First team. The series of small business discussions was specifically designed to strengthen and grow businesses in our community. And so as we wrap up 2021, we hope these virtual meetings were valuable and focused on topics that were important to you all. This morning, we are joined by a few of my wonderful teammates to discuss the work we do here at Southwest Michigan First. You'll hear from Jill Bland, Clarence Lloyd, Petey Stefanik, and Gretchen Slenk, and each person will tell you a little bit more about themselves and the work that they do at this organization. And as we were planning for this event, one thing that kind of came up time and time again was how multi-layered the work we do truly is. And so our goal is to support businesses in many different ways, and we hope this call is informative and helps to clarify how we can help your organization grow and thrive in this community and region. We have left time at the end for questions. So if you have any while the conversation is going on today, please put them in the chat box. And then one final housekeeping item before we start is to please be aware that this Zoom call will be recorded. All the recordings and presentations shared today will be accessible via the follow-up email I will send out later this afternoon. So without further ado, we will start with Jill Bland, managing partner here at Southwest Michigan First, to share more about the main work we do here, economic development. So I'll hand it over to you, Jill.
Great, thanks, Kelsey, and welcome everybody. We're glad that you were able to join us. Or if you're catching this later, we're glad that you're watching this on tape. So I am going to start, and Kelsey, do I have control? Okay, so Kelsey, I'm just going to have you click the screen. So one of the models of Southwest Michigan First is we are all about jobs. And we have always been about jobs, and we will always be going forward into the future. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about the history of Southwest Michigan First before we get going. So it was actually created back in 1999. We had several events that occurred in the community. We had a transition of the Upjohn Company. We had one of our banks that was headquartered here leave the community. We also saw the closure of the GM stamping plant. And so a group of private businesses came together and said to the local units of government, how can we work together and work with you? And really that's how Southwest Michigan First kind of initially came together, was to have business to business leaders having discussions. And when we had opportunities for attracting new businesses in the community, to have the business leaders be able to share their story and what their experiences were with the outside leadership. So again, 1999 was roughly when we created. Go ahead, Kels. So I know this slide is super busy, so I'm just going to point out a few of the things that are kind of key hallmarks of Southwest Michigan First. So as you go travel about the community, you might not have realized how these things came together. So the former GM facility over on Sprinkle Road at I-94, which we all know today as the Midlink Business Park. When that facility closed and the community was left with a 2 million square foot vacant building, Southwest Michigan First, in partnership with the city of Kalamazoo, it is in Comstock Township, but Comstock Township, the state of Michigan, and fortunately some private developers got together and talked about what that facility could be. And we spent 3 years working on where that facility was going to go. Today, we're very proud of what Midlink is, and it's almost gotten back to the employment levels that it was during the final days of the GM stamping plant. So that was a pretty exciting thing. The creation of Kalamazoo Valley Community College's business park out on 9th Street. The creation of the development of Western Michigan University's Business Technology and Research Park. Again, those both were initiatives that were happening at about the same time. And Southwest Michigan First and the business leaders of the community came together to help fill the gaps in funding for the creation and development of those parks. Shortly after those two things occurred, we saw the transition of the Upjohn company to Pharmacia and then to Pfizer. And if you were in the community at that time, you know that Pfizer downsized their operations in downtown Kalamazoo, actually the drug development part of the Upjohn company family. And they relocated that to another part of the country. So Southwest Michigan First, again, with business leaders and community partners, came together and developed what's today called the WMed Innovation Center, but at the time was the Southwest Michigan Innovation Center. And through that effort, we were able to incubate out of the Pfizer facility groups of scientists that came together and formed individual businesses. And so 37 companies were launched out of that effort, and many of those companies continue to flourish and provide employment in the community today. During that time, we learned an awful lot about the startup entrepreneurial culture and what it takes to start a business and nurture businesses. And so that was kind of the beginning of developing a true network here in the Kalamazoo area to support entrepreneurial activities. We saw some of the non-traditional financing tools come alive with venture funds, as well as an angel investment group. Those groups both continue to flourish today. And I think at the last month, Business First, we had one of our partners from the angel investment group come in and talk to you all. We also saw the formation of Catalyst University come alive about how we can help future leaders in the community begin their journey to transition not only from a leadership perspective, but also how they engage and work in the community. Shortly thereafter, we were approached to become the partner with the Chamber of Commerce. And so in 2013 was kind of when the Chamber of Commerce came under Southwest Michigan First, and again, to provide services to those businesses that are part of the Chamber. And then certainly over the last 2 years, as we've gone through the pandemic, providing support to the community on relief dollars and various grant programming. And so that was something we were very proud to be involved with, and it benefited over 2,500 companies throughout Southwest Michigan. So those are some of those key things that in our time span that we have been involved in. And there's many other things, but those are things that you all can put your eye on. So that takes us to 2012. In 2012, we went through a little bit of a transition under then Governor Snyder's administration. Economic development really became a regional model. So Southwest Michigan First became the coordinator for the regional economic development group in Southwest Michigan. And Kelsey, if you go to the next slide. This shows you the area that we work with. Now, Southwest Michigan First, from a true economic development, which we're going to talk about in just a second, focuses on Kalamazoo and St. Joseph County, but we work in partnership with the economic development groups throughout the region. In some cases, we may have a staff member that has expertise that they don't have on their team, so we will provide support services to those economic development groups and vice versa. We also come together as we're working on attraction efforts to bring new companies into the region. If it's something that's going to have a greater impact than just the local community, you'll see us come together as regional partners to work on economic development activities. And certainly in addition to those you see listed here, we work in partnership with many of the state agencies, such as the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, the Michigan Department of Ag and Rural Development, the Michigan Department of Transportation, and on and on and on, where they play a key role in those economic development activities. But we're getting ready to move forward into our next chapter and our next iteration. There has been a lot of change in how we do economic development and where we're going to go in the future. And if you haven't heard, we do have a new leader that will be joining us in January of 2022. Jonas Peterson will be joining us. He comes from the Las Vegas Economic Development Group, where he was a partner with the state in developing the statewide economic development network. He has a long history in economic development, and he was a Midwestern born and raised person. So we're very excited to have him join us. And I think if you all come back in February, We're hoping that you will be able to hear from Jonas and kind of initially what his vision is and kind of more about him as a person. So one of the things that economic development has transitioned to is to really look at how are we truly impacting the community. These are some of the items that we're going to take into consideration and we are going to monitor. Some of them we have always monitored, but we're going to monitor in a much deeper sense. And are we moving the needle for all people, all businesses, all individuals? So things such as medium household income. We're going to look at all of the various income levels and are we helping people step up in our community in an income way. We have been seeing a decline in our population really across the state of Michigan. In the 2020 census, our region, those 7 counties that I just showed you, we did see a decline with Kalamazoo County being the only county that saw positive growth. So what are we doing to impact that population and bringing people into our community to grow? We'll be looking at the poverty and ALICE rates in partnership with the city of Kalamazoo and several other entities. We'll be taking a deeper dive into how we can impact those things with the economic development projects that we bring into the community. And then also one of the things that we're very proud of on this list, and we will continue to monitor, is looking at the cost of living. I'm pleased to share with you right now, the Kalamazoo area is one of the lowest cost of living areas in the nation. So that's a really great thing for us. But again, this is a different way of looking at economic development, and we're very excited about the opportunity. So Southwest Michigan first. So we look at kind of 5 foundational pillars, and we're going to touch on each one of these pillars as we go through the next half hour, 45 minutes with you all. So primary employer retention, and I'm not going to necessarily read through all of these, but primary employer retention, expansion and attraction, market and promote the region globally, strategic community development, inclusive talent and workforce development, chamber, small business, and entrepreneurial growth. So we're going to start out with the primary employer retention and expansion. So what do we do? What is the foundations of economic development? So what we do here in Kalamazoo and St. Joseph County primarily is we focus on what we call our primary employers. And right now we define those as our manufacturing, logistics, back office, call center types of organizations, headquarters, and research and development operations. We look at companies from 1 employee on up to 5,000 employees, with Stryker and Pfizer. We really try to help all companies of all sizes when we do our work. And how do we do our work? The best way for us to do our work is to meet with company leaders in a one-on-one setting or 2-on-2 setting, but really to sit down and talk with those companies about what keeps them up at night. What are their greatest challenges? And sometimes we will look at those challenges as being opportunities because we may be hearing it from 3 or 4 companies that they're all having the same challenge. So we'll look at how we can overcome those challenges. Also, one of the things that we have been really working hard on is getting our business leaders more engaged in the community and community activities and the development of our infrastructure, as well as taking a look at how we elevate our workforce. And I'm going to share with you in a little bit more about how some of them have come together. One of the things I also want to share with you, why do we focus on primary employers? There's a lot of different spin-off effects based on industry. Some industries, such as the med device industry, they say that, because of that industry through suppliers and other foundational things, as well as pay level, the med device industry typically will have 5 or 6 additional jobs created in the community. But because we work with companies of all sizes and all types, we use a factor of, for every 1 job that's created in the primary employer sector, there's 1.5 additional jobs created in the community for things such as hair salons, grocery stores, restaurants, service organization, and the government. So we're always looking at what is that spin-off effect into the community and how do we impact the rest of the community. So now I'm going to share with you just really quickly a couple of examples of what our business retention, why we call on companies. So here's a company that used to be located in Kalamazoo Township, and back in 2014, they needed to grow, and they were on a site that they were landlocked. And so they weren't able to grow there. So we began helping them look at what was available in their immediate area and then what was available, in Kalamazoo County so that we could keep them in the community. They ended up finding a site in Comstock Charter Township, and they built a new facility. And then again, that was in 2014. In 2018, they built on an additional 75,000 square feet. So this is a company that continues to grow and create jobs in the community. This is a true example of a retention project. Next one, Kelsey. So this is an example of, we were hearing from two companies that they were both having some challenges with their healthcare, and they wanted to improve the accessibility for their workforce. So bringing the two companies together, the two leaders of the company, and talking about how they might overcome those challenges, they were able to create basically a small healthcare center that sits between these two plants for Schupan & Sons and Fabrical, so that their employees can access their healthcare needs in a relatively close proximity at work. So rather than having to take 2 or 3 hours off of work, perhaps to go see a doctor, they could go to this facility and take an hour off of work. So again, those are some of those things that as we meet with companies and we hear about what their challenges are, new opportunities come out of this. And I do think that this is a model that we may see more and more throughout our area. But then we also have these major projects that come up periodically. Certainly, if you've traveled down Portage Road, south of the airport, this is a facility. The right-hand picture is the final picture of the new Stryker headquarter R&D facility. This is a facility that took over 3 years to bring together. They did their building completion and dedication ceremony in January of 2020. And in March of 2020, they all went home. And so this is a facility that we're slowly starting to see it be revived. The company is learning about, the facility again and the opportunities that present it. But this was a facility that could have gone anywhere in the country that Stryker wanted it to go. And through our efforts to say, why Kalamazoo, why Southwest Michigan, we were able to keep them here in the community. So that's an example. And then certainly we're all very aware of, Pfizer global supply. This is where if you have the Pfizer vaccine, your vaccine came from. Again, this is a project. They're currently under construction with the lower right-hand building. It's a 400,000 square foot building that's currently under construction. It was planned well before the vaccine came into existence, but the good news was they were looking at creating and manufacturing more vaccines for years. It's a project that took over 7 years to put together here in the community. So these things don't happen overnight. Again, being forward thinking, we're always looking at what is the great next opportunity for additional sites. One of the things that we started to find pre-pandemic was that the greater Kalamazoo area had a limit on available sites for industrial development. And one of the things that we need to look at is, where is the best place to put industrial development? You need to have good infrastructure. You need to be looking at the surrounding land uses. You need to be looking at the proximity to the highways, to potential rail, and all of those types of things that a company might need. The Western Michigan University BTR Park, this was an expansion that was started in 2019. Ascension Borges put their new cancer center in that park that just opened this past fall. So this is an opportunity for us from probably more of a high-end manufacturing type of operation. But we also are looking at several other parts of the community for some industrial development land for our true manufacturers. So that's one of the things that we do when we look at the business retention and expansion opportunities. Next slide. So market and promote the region globally. So one of the things that members of our team do is they spend a lot of time out on the road talking with what we call site consultants. These are global real estate individuals that help companies make their decision on where they're going to go in the future. We talk about all of the great attributes that the community offers to businesses. And again, when we talk about attributes, it might be the parks and recreation opportunities, it's the housing, it's educational opportunities, it's shopping, it's all of those things that we're always sharing with companies. The next slide is an example of a company that was brought into the community back in 2013. This is Newell Brands. They're located out in the Business Technology and Research Park. This is their research and development facility. They're making new products, designing new products at this facility. So if you have a Graco baby product, or you're a camper and you're into Coleman products, or if you like to use Sharpie pens, those are products that are designed and developed at Newell Brands here in Kalamazoo. This company came in 2013, and then again in 2018, they did an additional expansion. So again, an example of an attraction effort. Okay. So the next foundational pillar, this is going to be a real brief one. This is where we look at what are all those things that support our business community. So certainly throughout the pandemic, we became very aware that there was a challenge in this community with broadband, really in the nation with broadband. So that's an area that we will provide support to the experts to figure out how we can work to overcome it, because it's not only a challenge for us at home, but it's a challenge for many of our businesses. The transportation infrastructure. So there's been a lot of discussion, at least for the last 35 years in this community, about how we complete the US 131 business route. This is something that we are in process because of a development that is occurring on the north side of Kalamazoo. It really brought this project back into light. How do we get the trucks out of downtown Kalamazoo? This is our answer to some of it. And so we have been working really hard with our state and federal legislature to secure funding to make this a reality. And this is probably as close as we have ever come. We are hopeful that in the next 2 to 3 years, we will see this happen. Another thing we're spending a lot of time is working with Metro Transit here in the Kalamazoo area on where the public bus goes, making sure that we can get people from where they live to where they work in a timely manner. Same thing on the airport, and then high-speed rail. How do we make enhancements to make our community stronger? Another example is housing. How do we increase the opportunity for housing at all levels? Again, here's an example of the Exchange Building in downtown Kalamazoo. This was a project that took many years in the making to make sure that we had the right financing model. And one of the things that we are seeing now, we've got several other facilities that have gone up. So we have the Rose, 400 Rose, the 180 Water Street in downtown Kalamazoo. But how do we build these buildings and make them financially able to be supported? So looking at all those different tools. So we engage in those types of discussions. Okay, and then the last thing I'm going to touch on is talent and workforce development. And Kelsey, go ahead and go to the next slide. So again, as we work with our companies, working to get our companies more engaged in our future workforce pipeline. We have spent a great deal of time working with them on the career tech educational system. So probably 4 years ago, we began the discussion of how do we modify the career tech educational programming here in Kalamazoo County specifically. It was done at multiple sites. How do we bring all of those programs together? And this last 6 months of this past year, we really came together in partnership with the business community and educational community. We were actually able to take a look at all of the programming that's being offered and making sure that the programs are built around what the workforce needs are of our area companies. We were very fortunate this fall to have one of our a group of private donors come together and donate $100 million towards the construction of a facility. That facility will be located at the Sprinkle Road and I-94 interchange area. And actually, I just came from a meeting this morning where they were discussing what it could actually look like in the end. So very exciting. 2023, 2024, we hope to see that facility completed. And then something else that I invite you all to consider joining is an effort that we have done every year for about the last 10 years. It's called My Career Quest Southwest. It's where we bring many of our businesses together. Typically, we'll have 60 to 70 businesses come together and do a career exposure opportunity for all 8th graders in Kalamazoo, Calhoun, Cass, and other counties that choose to participate. To come and have a hands-on experience. In this picture on the left, you see Humphrey Products. They brought an example of what they do at their facility and why they do what they do. So again, it's a career exposure opportunity. If you are interested, Kelsey's going to give you contact information, but we invite you to join us or to consider getting more involved. Next slide, and I'm going to breeze through these next slides. So youth internships and pre-apprentices. One of the things, again, as part of the career tech programming is how do we have more opportunities for our youth to get exposure. So we are looking for high school internship opportunities or for more companies to participate in pre-apprenticeship programs. We also will be running internship 101s next year. So Kelsey, you can go there to teach you how to set up those internships to make sure that they're a win-win opportunity. Again, you don't have to just be in the trade sector or the manufacturing sector. If you're in the retail sector, there's a lot of opportunity if you did a marketing internship to have somebody come in and work with your business on developing what your marketing plan is going to look like, on developing how you present yourself. And then we do summer intern mixer to bring all of our interns together. So I'm going to stop there. Next up is Petey Stefanik, and she's going to share a couple of our other programs that we run to fill some of the gaps and bring all of our work together.
Thank you, Jill. And happy to be here. My name is Petey Stefanik, and I work with some of the unique projects that we do. So one of the things that Jill mentioned is we really work with companies on all their needs. And so one of the things we do is really try to fill the gaps, identify different challenges that companies are having, and then finding a way to put it together. So this is really where attraction, retention, and the talent challenges they meet. So Jill mentioned the Newell Brands project that was in 2013. And so what that really did for us, and she mentioned all these great products and different brands that Newell designs. And we were already working on this recognition by different companies that they were having trouble identifying and bringing in the kind of that design talent. Newell came in with 100 designers, and designers are an important part of the ecosystem. And we'll talk a little bit about that because it's kind of an interesting thing. So Michigan has a legacy of innovation. And why, when Newell was looking at different locations, Atlanta, Chicago, New York, why did they choose Michigan? Well, Michigan has an incredible legacy of innovation. You know, it comes back, it's historical from our site as a peninsula where raw materials were easily collected to take products. And so when that happened, they really looked at this and said, what industries are there? And so we have the auto industry, we have the furniture industry, we also have the small appliance industry with Whirlpool, and then we have life sciences. So we are a very, very unique area in that space. And so Michigan has 3% of the country's population, but there's 16% of the country's industrial designers. That's a huge concentration, more than California, more than New York. And so that's important to us because that concentration allows these companies to get people to move to this area. And then there's other opportunities within. So it's an incredible, unique legacy we have. And why is design important? Well, when you think about an idea that comes up, so a designer comes up with a great idea for a new cup, right? So think of all the jobs that come from that. There's first that job for the designer. Then we have to have the engineering team involved. Once the engineers get a hold of it, then we have to have procurement purchase the raw materials. So we have trucks that come in with that materials. Then we have to have all the other pieces that go with it. We have tool and die to create the machines. We have the manufacturing of its individuals themselves. Then we have to sell the product. So we have marketing people and salespeople and research. And then we have package design. And then we have logistics to package up those products and take them to the locations. So from one great idea, there's hundreds of jobs that come from that. And so it's really important that we look at that as being a big part of our ecosystem and those opportunities for people. So as Newell was coming in with all those designers, we really had just already identified a problem with other companies that are in those same fields that are looking for that kind of talent. So what our goal here was to come together and create a common pipeline that would support all these different types of businesses. So a bunch of research was done by this group, and they found that there really aren't many great colleges in the world really that are really exceptional in this. And so Western Michigan University wanted to home grow these students. And so we got together and looked at different programs and realized that the most important part was to have the fine arts and design, engineering, and business all together, because those are the best designers and they come up with some great ideas. So these companies got together and started working on that. And while we were working on that, which took several years to launch a new product, a new program with Western, we really started this group called Mix. And what we were trying to do was bring together kind of create a culture. Companies were saying that they were having a hard time recruiting individuals to this area because they thought if the job didn't work, they didn't have anywhere else to go. And so now, by bringing all these companies together and all these designers together, they started realizing that there was incredible potential. It also supports the companies because those networks create better design. So they're raising the bar each time they meet and share innovative ideas and innovative, inspiration. So it's talent pipeline, it's the collaboration between the company. And then we wanted to create a community where we can get some momentum behind it and a culture. We have a great arts culture here. And so this was really an opportunity for us to build that. And we've done that quite well over the last several years. So our mixed programming is for everyone. And again, we use design as a verb, not a noun. So you don't have to be a designer, you just have to be innovative and creative. So these are the types of companies, everything from very small companies up to Stryker are involved in these programs. And so you can see it's just a wide range of companies, and it's a wide range of designers, whether it's interior design or graphic design, but it's really created this ecosystem in this space. As we were doing all those other things, Western finally got their program up and running. It's called the Richmond Institute for Design and Innovation. And they just graduated their first class in April. So that's very exciting. They had 15 students who graduated with that program, 12 are employed. And so we're working actively with them to enhance that program and continue to work on it. And as those companies were involved in the very beginning and helped put the curriculum together, they're very involved now with these students on mentoring programs and collaboration along those lines. So our mixed events in this year, we had 7 events, as you can see. We get inside different companies, we travel to different locations, and we also work with Western's Engineering School at their Innovation Expo, which is a combination of the engineering students, the product design students, and the entrepreneurial students, where they come together and create projects. And just last night, we had our celebration with those students, the top 3 winning teams, as well as the community. And it was a great turnout last night, and Mix is up and going strong. That's one way that we're going ahead and responding to the needs of the companies. These companies needed talent. We help fill that gap. The other thing that we're looking at right now is a sustainable community initiative. You might have seen recently that there has been some talk about how Kalamazoo is in the top cities in the state in sustainability. And so we are really just starting off this initiative. Again, the companies came together and said, we want to share best practices. And if we have more individuals and more companies that are committed to this initiative, it's better for our community, but it's also great for talent. This upcoming generation is very concerned about the environment as well as having great opportunities. So this is just a quick list of companies who have participated, and we just kicked this off in June. And so trying to build this community, if it's something that you're interested in, it's something that you can contact us about. But we will continue to look for those type of opportunities within the community to fill the gap where companies are really struggling. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and, we've been about jobs. We've always been about jobs, but our chamber also works with the small businesses in their communities. So Clarence, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. Thanks a lot, PD. My name is Clarence Lloyd. I'm the director here for the Southwest Michigan First Chamber. And so we've talked about a lot so far, but you might be wondering how that all relates to the chamber and what exactly the chamber is and what we do to support this work in this community. Let me see if I can control things here. Just give me a sec. Oh, it takes a minute. Kelsey, I'll have you move it if that's okay, so we can keep it going. All right. So we'll start kind of broad. So with the umbrella organization of Southwest Michigan First focused on creating and retaining jobs in the region, we understand that a critical foundational pillar would have to focus on the direct tactical consultation, specifically for small businesses as well, to nurture the overall business ecosystem. We want to make sure that the support and resources that they need are here, and we want to be a part of that. So this is what ultimately the chamber does. Next slide. So here's kind of our big mission. So we exist to serve businesses in the region of every size, but with a particular focus on the small business community. Next, so whether your business operates across town or across the globe, one thing that we do best is to connect members. So we connect them to what? We connect them to helpful resources. So that can include funding, export document certification, or business development opportunities. We connect them to potential strategic partners. So that can be vendors, suppliers, and others. And we also connect them to other members. I think that's one of the most, the thing that we're probably known the best for. So building relationships within the membership is definitely one of the best ways to take advantage of your membership with the chamber. So when this all started to really come together for me, it was because of this diagram that's on the screen here. And it really helped me understand how all these different pieces and components that we're talking about today, how they all kind of come together. When companies begin to scale, obviously that benefits the individual employees in that company, but it also benefits their families, the community, and ultimately the entire region. 50% of job growth is going to come from those large companies. They employ hundreds, if not thousands, of people from our area. And much of what we've talked about so far is a part of that economic development, some of the larger companies, larger mid-sized companies, and that tends to be this left side of the diagram here. Now, when those large companies are successful, they attract and retain individuals and families in our communities. So they buy homes, they raise their families, they shop locally, they dine out, attend events, their kids play sports, they buy cars and minivans, their teenagers work at the local restaurant, they bag your groceries. But the businesses that all of that stuff is happening with, the personality of our community, that they often make up the largest percentage of chamber members. These are the businesses that we engage with the most. They make up that middle section there. That is where we really want to make sure that we are focusing on helping businesses be successful. When small business is strong, they can provide that other half of all job growth here in our community. So they contribute collectively to all of the things that help make our region successful. And that's that right side of this whole diagram. So that kind of helped me understand how all those pieces plug in together. And so that's kind of the broad picture, but how specifically do we support helping businesses become stronger? How do we help give them the additional tools and resources? And it's really just a few ways. So the next slide there, we'll get into that a little bit. The first is visibility. So chamber members are going to have more visibility to other business owners and community organizations. When more people know about your work, more partnership opportunities are possible. The next is access. I will tell you that having been in some form of sales most of my life, cold calls are terrible. And so at least they were for me. But being connected to the chamber and to Southwest Michigan First can often allow us to help make those handshake connections and introduce you to a potential partner and really kind of warm those conversations up right from the beginning. And that's a really great benefit. The next is training and education. It is expensive, it's time consuming, and monthly programs like this and some of the others we've talked about can really help businesses get focused on getting better, doing better, And some of our in-house experts and consultants can provide a lot of this information, sometimes for free, or in a one-on-one consultation, or they can make good connections to other resources in the community to help you get what you need at a time that fits your schedule. Networking, that's the big one. So we have events called Chamber Connects. If you want to be connected to community and be in the know about what's going on here, and find out more about things that are important to you, to meet new folks, generate ideas, hear best practices, maybe even learn what's coming around the corner so you can adjust. Our networking events, the events that we host, are some of the best places to meet people and build relationships. We do ribbon cuttings too. So that's something that you always see with the big pair of scissors. That's always the hit of the party, is everyone wants to see the big pair of scissors. So networking is definitely a big part of what we do. We provide low-cost advertising opportunities. So whether it's creative or traditional sponsorship opportunities, we have a weekly newsletter that goes out to almost 20,000 inboxes of active partners. So we have a number of ways to help you get the word out and get folks involved in what you're doing. Last couple of things is advocacy. So we have folks on our team that work specifically in the public policy realm. They work directly with municipalities, elected officials from the state, all the way down to the local level, to make sure that what's important to you gets heard and that what's coming is shared so that you can know about it early on. And then lastly, some business service provider discounts. So whether it's event space rentals, printing, office supplies, nearly every type of insurance, we have some exclusive specials and deals that local businesses make specifically for chamber members that really help them just lower their expenses. So 2022, we're looking at being a really big year for growth for the chamber. The more members we can serve, the more value we can create for businesses. That includes yours. So if your company has more specific needs and you want to have a more direct conversation, there's again going to be some specific contact information. I'd love to talk to you, learn more about what you do, and talk about how we might work together so we can connect. Last thing I'll say before I go is the shopping season is in full swing. So please remember, when you're out there shopping, to buy local early and often as much as you can, and support our chamber members whenever that's possible as well. So next, one way our organization supports the strengthening and developing of local leaders that help support all of this business growth we've been talking about is through a variety of our leadership programming. In fact, most chambers of commerce around the country have their own version of what we call here Leadership Kalamazoo. So to tell you more about what that is and how it's impacting community leadership, I want to introduce you to a lady I am absolutely honored to work alongside, Miss Gretchen Slenk.
Thank you, Clarence, and thank you, everybody. It's my pleasure to be here to talk about some of our leadership development initiatives. So you kind of heard already that the mission of Southwest Michigan First is the greatest force for change as a job. And you heard the important work around economic development to attract, retain, and expand companies, support those companies through economic development services and chamber services. And then Petey talked about creating talent pipelines to then fill those jobs. So where does this fit in? We not only want people to have jobs available, we not only want to have people to fill those jobs, but we also want people to be engaged in the work that they do. And part of engagement in your work that you do is having great leaders. And so we have these leadership development initiatives to attract talent, retain talent, and have talent engaged in the important work that they do. This is the philosophy that fuels some of our leadership development initiatives, one of which is Leadership Kalamazoo. Let me tell you where it all began. Leadership Kalamazoo started in 1987, so it's almost 35 years old. And as Clarence mentioned, it started with our local Chamber of Commerce. So this is very common for communities to have a leadership development program like this. You might hear about Leadership Grand Rapids or Leadership Cincinnati or Leadership South Bend. In fact, we're part of a National Association of Leadership Programs. And what makes this type of program really unique and special is it focuses on developing leaders and also with a component of civic engagement. So we want people to be great leaders at their workplaces and also outside the walls of where they work and out in the community. So way back in 1987, a few folks were sitting around a table and they said, you know what? We feel like we keep seeing each other's faces at all the decision-making tables, at all the board meetings, and we really want to diversify and expand who we see at these tables, who are the leaders in our organizations and in our community. And so they started Leadership Kalamazoo in that spirit of really igniting leadership on a community-based level. And so, as you heard, in 2013, the Chamber of Commerce came under the leadership of Southwest Michigan First. Leadership Kalamazoo came with it, and since that time has kind of expanded into its own initiative. And so we just have the privilege of continuing to facilitate that program here. What it is we bring together a group of about, it varies year to year, but about 25 to 35 people from very diverse industries, very diverse community sectors, very diverse backgrounds to come together and go on essentially a year-long journey, exploring leadership best practices and also interfacing with some of the largest institutions in our community. So some of the topics we might talk about: strength-based leadership, emotional intelligence, high performance teams, and inclusion in the workplace. But then we also do these deep dives into community issues and topics like public safety, health, education, economic development. So it's this really interesting and interactive experience that you go on with a cohort of folks in order to develop in your leadership that you can hopefully bring back to your teams and your organizations, but then also start thinking about, how am I going to expand my leadership beyond the walls of where I work and out into the community, and really be the future of community leadership with that civic engagement component as well. So that's Leadership Kalamazoo kind of in a nutshell. Next year, we're going to be entering our 35th year. Right now, we have an active cohort of about 27 people. And next year, we're going to be engaging between 30 and 35 folks. And we've received over 50 applications for the program. So if you have interest, you can check out more information on our website and say, I'm interested for 2023. And you submit an application, and we do an interview as we build out cohorts year after year. So if you have interest in that, the way that this group kicks off their year, Leadership Kalamazoo, is at a leadership conference, one of our other very important leadership development initiatives called Catalyst University. I'll tell you a little bit about this as well. This started about 11 years ago in a very similar spirit, right? So about 11 years ago, some of the Southwest Michigan First board members had a similar conversation of saying, we want to grow and expand leaders in our region. And how do we do that? How do we start giving people access to great leadership best practices, thoughts, and opportunities for them to engage their team members and build their culture? So they wanted to expand access beyond just programming. So Leadership Kalamazoo, we can serve 30 to 35 people at a time. It's very intensive. But they said, we don't want to stop there. We want to expand this opportunity to more people, more companies and organizations, large and small. How do we do that? Let's offer a world-class leadership development conference. And instead of sending folks away out of our region to different states or different communities, we want to bring it to them and have it in our own backyard. And so Catalyst University began 11 years ago, and it steadily grew over the years. Hopefully some of you have been able to participate in that. This year, we're going into our 11th year, and it's going to be taking place at the Radisson. We're back at the Radisson downtown, and it's an opportunity for companies to come, bring their teams, and be inspired by great thought leadership around leadership, team building culture in the hopes that it allows you to expand your capacity to increase, profit, productivity, team engagement, and all that good stuff. So it's really meant to serve as a catalyst for your year ahead and what you're trying to accomplish with your teams. So we're excited about this. We hope you can participate. We're going to be serving people in January, on January 26 and 27. Is that right? Those 2 days? Yes, serving about 1,400 people. And then we also have virtual tickets available as well. So if you're not able to participate in person, we still don't want you to miss out. You can purchase one of those virtual tickets on the website. So these are just a couple of examples of how we want to engage leaders to think about how to show up as their best selves at their work. And it partners so nicely with the other ways that we support businesses in our community to have a thriving region. So with that, I will pass it back over to Kelsey, because we absolutely want to have time to answer your questions that you have about the work that we do here at Southwest Michigan First.
Thank you, Gretchen. Yes, and I will add, the slide is not incorrect. We've sold out January 27th. So that date, we already have 700 leaders who are going to be joining us. And so January 26th, we were able to add a second day for all the other people who wanted to come and engage with us. And that will be the day that we have our virtual experience as well. So I know Bronwyn posted information in the chat for everybody. So now we want to have questions from you. I don't see any in the chat box. So just some questions for everybody, our panelists, our wonderful panelists today. So we've heard a lot of information, and I know that I'm going to be sharing my contact information in the follow-up email, and it'll be shared in the chat for how people, if they have questions or want to get engaged. But very simply, what is the easiest way in all these different areas for people to get engaged? PD, I'm going to say attend a mixed event and just come and hang out and get to know one another. But for everybody else, what's the easiest way to kind of engage with our organization?
I mean, historically, we always said as economic developers, and I would say this is very true with the chamber too, we're your yellow pages, or Google, rather than going on the computer and Google. If you want to talk to a human, call us, email us with your questions. There are no dumb questions. If you're looking for a resource or you're looking for a supplier, one of our goals is to really get more businesses to do business locally. And so if we can connect you up with a supplier to your business, whether you're a retailer or manufacturer that's here in the region, we want to do that. So, please reach out to us, and we're here to help you in any way that we can.
I would just add to that, Kelsey, that one of the things that we really bring to the table is we know a lot of companies. Between all the different sectors that we work with, we know a lot of what's out there. And so we can be great connectors across the board, within the chamber, within the manufacturing world, we have all those connections. So.
And then I did have another question that, I was thinking of. So it sounds like our organization provides a lot of support for businesses, right? That's our day-to-day work. But is there any cost associated with business support? Can somebody jump in and speak to that? I think there's kind of a two-pronged approach. So I don't know if Clarence, you want to jump in, or Jill, or Gretchen, anybody?
Sure. Yeah, so a couple of things. One is to kind of put a little staple on the other piece of the question is next year, we're going to have some additional events. One of the ways that people have connected in the past few months is with either coffee or cocktails with me, with Clarence, which we don't have our 2022 dates up yet, but they are being finalized right now. And it's really easy, kind of low, I don't know, like there's not a lot of, all you have to do is show up and have something to drink. And we can get to meet each other. You can get to meet some other folks in our community. And so it's a really cool way and an easy way to start to get connected. But as far as the overall business support piece, we offer a lot of consultation with folks, and it doesn't have to cost anything. There's definitely some benefits from being a member. But there's a lot of things that you can participate in that don't have a cost to them, like this Business First series doesn't have a cost to it, and it's available for everybody. And so depending on exactly what you're looking for, we can certainly point you in the right direction. I see somebody in the chat, which probably you're going to go there next, is looking to become a certified business. That type of thing, we can definitely connect you to that doesn't have a cost at all. And so reach out to us, let us know what you're looking for, and we can point you in the right direction. And help keep your costs low as possible.
That's great. And I will add too, as Clarence, as you mentioned, we've been doing these Business First series for, a year and a half, going on 2 years. And so most all of our sessions are recorded and on our website. And so I will be sure to send that link out to everyone. So in case there is a topic that we've covered, such as becoming a certified business, those are a great kind of way to access the programs that we've done and the information that's available for your business. So I am going to stop there because I know we have about 5 minutes left. So I did want to go over a few things before we wrapped up today. So just give me 1 second. First of all, thank you to Jill, PD, Clarence, and Gretchen for walking us through all the work we do here at Southwest Michigan First. And I want to thank everyone who joined us today for spending your time with us this morning. It's our job to serve businesses in our community, and we hope you found this information beneficial. If, as we've mentioned, if you've heard something here that is of interest or you have any questions for our team, please reach out to me. Bronwyn is going to share my contact information, and I will make sure to get you connected to the team member who is best suited to help you. And then, as we discussed, Catalyst University is coming up in January, and so that information has been posted in the chat box as well. Whether you're interested in attending in person or virtual, tickets are still available. There's more information on our website about what to expect with that as well. And then our next Business First call will take place in the new year. We're almost to 2022. So on January 13th, we will focus on some of the business resources that are available. We'll hear from the Pure Michigan Business Connect team, the Michigan Department of Agricultural and Rural Development to learn about their value added grant that's coming up early next year, internship opportunities, apprenticeships, and much more. So that information is in the chat box and will be sent in the follow-up email today. So thank you again for joining us this morning. Thank you to Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan for sponsoring this series. I hope you all have a wonderful day, a happy holiday season, and a wonderful new year. So thank you all.